Bill Schwab from WineBuys.com here with Luca from Vietti Winery. Now your family just acquired this winery a short time ago, 500, 600, 700 years ago?
Yes, no, it's part of my family since ever, so let's say the oldest part of the winery is inside of the medieval wall of the town. We honestly based our founding only in 1873 because was the first label that we've been able to find from Vietti.
But your family's been there for a little while.
See, yes, I think since the wine was made in the Barolo region, but it's a long story.
And we don't have a tremendous amount of time here. But yeah, let's say that as long as there's been Barolo, there's been your family there.
Yes, absolutely.
And as a matter of fact, talking about going back, tell me a little bit about your Arnese, because it's an interesting story. This grape is one of my favorites for bright, clean, northern Italian wines. The issue with it is it really didn't exist until recently or until very, very old ago.
Yes, but it's really a big success, the Roero Arnese for the Langhe region. Is today in Italy one of the most, probably in Italy and Europe, the most popular white wine. Let's say the fashion of the Pinot Grigio started 35 years ago in Italy, then went all around the world. And today really the Arnese took the place in Italy and Europe of the Pinot Grigio. Because like you said correctly, I think it has the same floral, fresh fruit, but with much more minerality and structure than many Pinot Grigio. My family is, we produce a very small, tiny amount compared to what is produced. But is very related to the history of my family because my father invented really this wine in 1967. It was a wine that was not existing before because let's say my father didn't invent the grape. The grape existed, but the wine was made all sweet as the Moscato, but not very successful. So it was the dessert wine of the farmer.
Right.
Or it was used to blend with the Nebbiolo, so the red grape, to make some funny rosé that was not, was called the wine of the mother-in-law, so it was not really very successful wine. So for the reason that my family, we love indigenous variety, and my father experimented, he wanted to make the first vinification of this white that he knows.
In the dry, crisp style?
Yeah, in the dry, crisp style.
Almost reminds me a little bit of, let's say, a cross between, and correct me if you think I'm way out of line here, Pinot Grigio and Chablis. It almost has that fruitiness of the Pinot Grigio, but that crisp minerality and that little bit of whetstone of a good French Chablis.
I think this is exactly the success of this wine comes from this thing, absolutely. And so my father, with a lot of difficulty, that he was able to do the first vinification in 1967 because there was no full vineyard existing. And then my father replanted the first vineyard in the 68, the first full vineyards. And then, they started to other growers around we start to give cutting to other growers in Italy, then also in Oregon, in California. And right now, I think you will see more and more this wine because it's really very important right now, white wine from Italy.
And you also have something sort of unique about the Moscato. We sell a lot of Moscato at Wine Buys, and it's a sweeter wine, slightly frizzante, crisp, clean, and fresh, but there's levels of Moscato. And this is in the top level of Moscato without really paying the top level price. It's very reasonably priced for having this kind of quality. Tell us a little bit about why your Moscato is different.
But first of all, it's a state bottle, so it's a part of our vineyard. And to have a Moscato that could wear the Vietti name, so we are very care about that, about our history and our image of 400 years. We make in a different way. So we do very low yield for acres, so very, very small production to have concentration, but at the same time having drinkability. And then we do in the ancient way. So the CO2 is a natural CO2. So it's not add the
Not the
CO2.
forced carbonation that a lot of places do, just turn up the dial on the tank and force it in. It's actually the carbonation, unlike the champagne, which is carbonation in the bottle, it's a larger tank, but it's the natural fermentation that forces that brings the carbonation in. A better integration, it tends to stay in the wine a little bit better, correct?
Exactly. We try to do really on the ancient way, to have something distinctive and different than other Moscato today. Make it more original and natural, let's say.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.